Hello, hello, hello. Internet's been quite funky today. I just decided Friday, 4:30 p.m. Mountain Time, I wanted to read today's out of this. It's pretty amazing to me how what I read is so fitting for me. So, if you've ever been trying to deal with anger, so I'm just going to say it this way. What I find in the work that I do is anger typically, this isn't across the board, but typically is a much more challenging emotion for women to allow themselves, less so for men, whereas like sadness is a more challenging emotion for men than women, just because of the enculturation of it. Like women are told, be nice, be pleasing, be sweet, just sit there, look pretty, whatever. So much of the, hey Cindy, so much of the enculturation around this is that. And then for men, big boys don't cry, all the programming that men get around owning their sadness, owning how they feel about it. And so I did this on my Tapping Really Works group, and I wanted to do it here again, just to end out the Friday. And I will share this with you. I shared it in the other video. This morning, my internet was not working, and I had a first day of a training this afternoon that I have for the next 20 weeks. And nothing can get me to go from 0 to 60 into anger than technology stuff, like internet stuff. Obviously there's something going on there. Talk about needing a tap, where I'm like, oh, I see that it's better now, but I feel the elevation. My father just popped in my head, and I often think I saw him with a lot of frustration due to his PTSD about different things, that came up when things didn't seem to go quite well. So, it sort of runs in the family, I think. So I wanted to read this about anger, though, because I think this is, it's a good one. So, speak when you're angry, and you will make the best speech you'll ever regret. Unknown. Yeah. Okay. Anger can be both healthy and unhealthy. Anger in its healthy form gives me the ability to set boundaries, to speak my truth, to stand up for what I believe in, and so much more. Anger in its unhealthy form will have me making a speech I later regret. If I'm reading this, I can be reminded that I'm human. And along with being human comes both healthy and unhealthy displays of anger. I've got many of both. When I own my humanity and own that I will always be a work in progress, always, I can find more of that amazing self-compassion so necessary for true lasting change. I may make more speeches when I'm triggered that I later regret. If I do, I have this amazing opportunity to practice more self-acceptance and forgiveness. I suspect I can always use more practice with both of these. When I forgive myself for my humanness, my sincere and heartfelt apology can open the heart of another person in amazing ways. I can give out what I now find within myself, compassionate acceptance of all that is so very human about me. Thought for the day is all is well. And I think with anger, often we want to get to a place of, say, if we feel wronged by somebody, forgiveness. And what I notice in the work that I do is people tend to go to forgiveness before they're ready. They try to forgive. They're angry and they want to get over something. So, and if you're, it depends. Even there's so many different spiritual practices, religious practices that talk about forgiveness, and even be the first to forgive. What do you do when you're like a raging ball of anger with the hurts that have happened, and you're like, I'm not in the position to forgive? And that's why I love tapping, because it allows you to go into the pure, unadulterated truth. This is the way I say it. You get to give yourself your truth. If another person can't hear your truth, it doesn't matter. In this way, you get to give it to yourself. Now, that doesn't mean that you don't get highly attached, because God knows I do get really attached at times, like, you will listen to me and you will hear what this is. But that's part of learning to embrace that about ourselves, is the flaws and the foibles that we all have. And hey, Diane, hey, Eddie, Cindy, this morning when I was heading out to walk, I had my phone. This has never happened in this way before. A podcast that I signed up for, but I've never listened to, just appeared on my phone. And I'm like, that's kind of like out of nowhere. I think I'm supposed to listen to this. So I put it on and I listened to it, and it's from 10% Happier. And it was two meditation teachers that the founder of it, Dan Harris, was listening to. And many of you, if you've heard this, me say this before, he's still a journalist, but he was doing the nightly news, and he had an anxiety panic attack in front of 6 million people on national television. He's this super skeptical, somewhat cantankerous. I literally feel like if I had a brother, that would be my brother. He's just this very sort of blah person in that way, in the brain, on the mouth. And he's interviewing these two meditation teachers, and he meditates now, does mindfulness meditation, and his book is 10% Happier for Fidgety Skeptics. And they were talking about, as meditation teachers, is a man and a woman that are both meditation teachers, how they still always struggle with self-acceptance and their varying emotions, anger, all of that. And they might have someone that's listening to them, and I'm like, but you meditate. Like you shouldn't ever be angry again. You shouldn't ever have this. And I mean, I call bullshit on that, because we're human. And what I loved listening to this, because they're both talking about, as meditation teachers, that's part of the practice, is to embrace that part of the humanity. Yeah, they're working on it, but they're not this model of perfection. They're not enlightened masters. They're still in a body, and they're still attempting to deal with all of these emotions and experiences that they're having. And I think that's a great lesson for all of us. I know it is for me, to constantly come back to that place when I'm really hard on myself and judging myself and down on myself for maybe things I've done, decisions I've made, things I've said, to come back to that place and work toward. It's just the perfect opportunity to practice some self-compassion and self-care. Because I don't know about anyone that might hear this, but I can tell you, it's only never been true for me that I've ever been able to affect lasting change through judging myself or beating myself up. In fact, it just seems to hold the patterns that I'm trying to change in place. So anyway, there's the doorbell delivery. You probably recognize that doorbell, Diane, if you heard it. So I just wanted to share this one today on anger, particularly because, like I said, I think it's far less of an acceptable emotion for women and far more so for men, and yet flip-flop it, and sadness is far less acceptable for men and much more acceptable for women. So that was the reading from today from the latest book. So Diane, great to see you. Eddie, yo, awesome stuff. Sending you lots of love, Eddie, with your father. And Cindy, great to see you here. So have a great, fabulous weekend, everyone. Take good care. Bye-bye.